There are almost certainly a lot of things that you're doing that are going to keep you broke.
I've done a lot of things, man. I've been swinging for a long time, and that's something that's available to everyone. And I do think that's missed out on, that there's a lot of ordinary people being rich and being successful, and people think it's an exclusive club, and that's just not true.
There's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one's ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it.
Now you're in a solution-oriented mindset, and people that get wealthy, let me tell you right now, all they think about are solutions. How do I solve this problem? Because if you're wealthy, you must remember you're paid in direct proportion to the difficulty of the problems you solve. And if that's true, you better get very good at solving very difficult problems. And if you have something that's holding you back, like I'm not as smart as a lot of people, and that really pisses me off. But the reality is, pissing and moaning about it is not going to make me any smarter. All I can do is go make the most of what I have.
Entrepreneurs have one thing in common. They keep going. They'll change the rules. They'll reinvent the rules. They don't just take one answer. So a real entrepreneur, it really makes no difference which country you're in. It's just a mindset. It's F you. You mess with me, I'll find a way around it.
They make no excuses. They take total responsibility for their lives. In fact, many people that fall into that category will take responsibility for things that clearly don't even have anything to do with themselves. People are spending all of their money. Death habit number 1, you're spending all of your money on liabilities and not assets. So the key is to understand what an asset is, to understand what a liability is, and to buy appropriately. An asset is something that when you buy, it's going to go up in value and not cost you money, or even pays you money. More money, obviously, than it costs you. If you have a liability, it's the exact opposite. So the classic example of a liability is a car payment. The second you drive a car off the lot, it's going down in value, and with very rare exception, it is never going to go back up. So it's going down in value, and you've got to keep making those payments. So you've got money going out while value is declining. Another one that people often think of as an asset, but is usually a liability, is your own home. Now, the reason that your own home is so frequently a liability is odds are you have a mortgage, odds are it's the most expensive thing in your life, and it's not like you can just get out from under that liability, especially if the bottom falls out. You're gonna have property tax depending on where you live, and you're gonna have upkeep no matter where you live. So now you're pouring money into this thing, and maybe the value is going up, but maybe not always. And between the property taxes and the upkeep, you may be paying more than the value is going up over time, especially if you account for opportunity cost. So the odds of your house after taxes, fees, upkeep, all of that, being a better use of capital, if you're living in it, being a better use of capital than taking that same money and putting it into an index fund or something like that, a diversified portfolio, let's say, the odds of the house returning more on that are very low. Unless, obviously, if you get into rental properties and things like that and you're not living in it, so now it can actually generate cash flow, well, then it's just a math equation.
A lot of people are chasing content creation, or they were chasing crypto last week, or they were chasing blogging years ago, and now AI everyone's chasing. And so what I'd recommend for other people out there, and I've been able to do this literally, I've chosen so many $1 trillion markets to be around, and a lot of my success is just because I'm in the market, and the market does well. But I'm curious about these things, number one. So I was curious about social networking, and I was like, oh, that's big. Because I got onto it, and I was able to see, like, wow, you can connect with the entire world, even though there wasn't really the entire world at that point. So curious, same with mint.com. I was like, man, money, I think worldwide it's pretty important. I think there's going to be something, if you have a free money tool, that's going to be big. Same thing then with Facebook games, that was going to be big. Then I did payments for games, that was big. And then I did kind of a Groupon business, which became AppSumo, that was big. Then we built SumoMe.com, that was big, which is a software tool. So ideally, number one, you're curious. So I can talk about my crypto thing, because I think that's kind of an interesting example of it. Number two, how do you get a part of it today, right now, not how? Don't worry that you don't have a website, don't worry you don't have a big social media presence, but what can you take action on to put yourself in that space? So can you be in a community online? Can you geographically move? Can you start creating in that space? So I think people are curious maybe, and they can find it, but they don't necessarily try it and understand it, and they don't do anything about it. So even with crypto, got involved. I heard about it in 2012, didn't do anything. I thought it was stupid. And then in 2016, I had to buy an illegal NFL stream. That's how I got into crypto. And so I bought this illegal NFL stream on a website, seasonsforyou.com, and I saw the power of what this could be. And then I started buying at that point. And that's where it's now become a multi-million-dollar portfolio. And I think the biggest thing for everyone out there is, what are you doing on your phone all day? There's probably something within there that's $1 billion opportunity. Same thing on what you're doing outside, same thing what you're watching on content, and just being a little bit more curious and then taking action around that. I would say that everyone should be an entrepreneur, everyone, because if you get fired today, what's your backup plan? Go on Indeed.com and pray. Like, having an entrepreneurship where you can have your own business, and if you start it right now, not how, you just get started. And that, a lot of what we cover that is exactly $1 million weekend. You could do it in a weekend, which everyone has. They can change their life in 48 hours. You have the option. And a lot of people, let's take AppSumo.com. We have a lot of people who have very successful side businesses, and they're happy with their day jobs, and that's great. And there's other people like myself that were always frustrated having a day job. And so I wanted to create work that I didn't have to work at. And I do believe there's a misconception, and something that most people get wrong, is that you can't do what you enjoy or passion or dream about and make a lot of money doing it. I don't believe that.
But when I make $1 million, I keep $1 million. And the reason is because I don't make it by working for money. See, if you work for money, you're taxed. So that's why lesson number 1 in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the rich don't work for money. What we do instead is we create businesses as entrepreneurs. We acquire real estate. I don't invest in the stock market. Okay? So the reason is because as entrepreneurs, I have more control over my income, how much I make, and how much I pay in taxes. And because I'm an entrepreneur as well as an investor in real estate, I pay 0 tax. So every time I make, let's say, $1 million as an entrepreneur, I immediately invested in real estate and I have a 4-to-1 step up. So I put $1 million in real estate, I get $4 million from the bank. That's why I love banks. But the banks are screwing everybody else, terrible, but it's good for me.
We are all the same. Everywhere in the world. I don't care if you go into China, go into Kosovo, go into Buenos Aires, go into New York. We are all the same. We look different, we sound different, but when you get past the culture, and culture's nothing but group habit, that's exactly what it is. When you get past the culture, we are all the same. There is one mind. There's not millions of minds, there is one. And we are an individualized expression of it. And when we tap into that universal mind, it operates by law. The idea must move into form. That's one of the first laws of the universe, the perpetual transmutation of energy. You understand that winter never follows winter. When the tide goes out, it always comes back in. I got a beautiful Japanese maple just outside my studio at home. Every fall, the leaves fall off that, but every spring they come back. All the great paintings, Rembrandt, Van Gogh, all of them, they were inspired to do the great work. We have to understand that whatever Rembrandt or Van Gogh used, we have available to us. We're God's highest form of creation. Spirit flows to and through us. It's our responsibility to decide what we're going to do with it. I think we've got an obligation to do great work. We're only here for a short time, not a long time. And we've got the faculties and the ability to do great work. I think we should.